Sammy Wilson. A further round of talks is taking place between farmers in India and the government amid a countrywide strike over new agricultural laws. Farmers have been demonstrating at the border of the Indian capital Delhi for days, demanding the government repeal the laws they believe will damage their incomes. Well, Ravi Singh is the founder of the international NGO Khalsa Aid. He grew up in Punjab and comes from a family of farmers and joins me now. Many people in this country perhaps aren't aware of just what a big deal this is. I mean, what's your reaction when you see what's happening, particularly in the Punjab?
Well, it's very, very upsetting, deeply disappointing. It's like reliving the 80s again, where brute force has been used against civilians, especially the farmers who are practicing their lawful means to protest. And it's really disappointing, more so disappointing that our government in the UK have kept quiet while other governments have condemned the action by the security forces. And we expect the same from a British government on humanitarian levels to open their eyes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, I'm so sorry. It was raised in the Commons briefly today, but I just wonder, do you share the view that some have, that the protesters may have gone a little too far in the way these protests have escalated?
The protesters are fighting for their futures. They are fighting for their livelihoods, and they are doing exactly what a peaceful protesters would do. I couldn't believe the amount of force used against the protesters, especially when they were protesting towards New Delhi. Right at this moment, there are 1.2 million people, not just from Punjab, other places too, who are on the borders of Delhi in this freezing winter. And they face water cannons, lathi charge, which is the baton charge. They have to face tear gas, all for the fact that they were practicing their lawful means to protest. For me, as somebody from Punjab who suffered already for the Green Revolution, took us decades to recover. Now we're going back into that same painful period again, where the farmers, the everyday, an ordinary person, is fighting for their livelihood in a peaceful, democratic manner, according to the Indian Constitution, and we're facing such force. And I do hope the world will wake up and take notice. The farmers are not there for anything else. They're elderly, they're women, they're children, they're facing severe winter, and they're ready to go for the next 6 months, all for their livelihoods. And we don't expect anything else. And what makes it worse, these laws are being passed without debate, without discussion in Parliament, and it went straight into law. Now, when you said that this question was raised in British Parliament, I'm not sure if you're seeing the reply from Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister. He made it into an Indian-Pakistan issue. If our own Prime Minister has no idea what's going on, how can we expect anybody else to do so? So we're appealing as Punjabis, as British Punjabis, for the British government to make sure that the Indian government responds to the protesters accordingly to the Indian Constitution and not by brute force. We cannot sit back whilst our people from our state are facing such brutality.
Given the risk of escalation even, is there room for compromise on either side as you look at where we are right now?
Well, it's very difficult to say because the corporations that the Punjabis are supposed is such a huge producer of farm produce and wheat and grain. It's the last bastion before the corporations will take over, like in many other places in India. So compromise, I see it very difficult because most of the government is very closely associated with the corporations, which makes it very difficult for the government to go against the corporation and the laws. So these laws are not fair, they're unjust, and I do see a very tough, bleak and bitter war ahead for protests. And I think it can be avoided if the government now actually listens to the people. 15 to 20 opposition parties in India have opposed these laws. It's time they listen and repeal these laws. There's no way the farmers are going to turn back, not the way the mood is at the moment, especially the treatment they faced to get to Delhi.
Well, Ravi Singh, I'm most grateful to you for your time. Thank you very much for coming here on BBC News this afternoon.
Thank you.